Hey guys, I'm still in this dodgy loan car that was supposed to only be for a week, and it's ended up being for 2 weeks while I'm waiting to get my car back. So I'm not quite sure how that camera situation is going to work over there, but I just had to make this video because it was a classic. So what happened was I was sitting in a food court talking to a friend of mine who's an elderly Japanese gentleman, and we were sitting off to one side of the food court near the window, and I was facing the window and he was facing inwards, and he has 2 hearing aids and he speaks reasonably quietly, but his hearing isn't real good, so I've got to speak up so he can hear me. But he does have 2 hearing aids, so I wasn't that loud, right? And it is a fairly noisy food court. Later on in the afternoon, usually it's full of high school kids and they're really loud. There's lots of little kids with their parents that are really noisy, and it is a fairly noisy food court. So anyway, we've been sitting there for half an hour or so, and the old guy I was with suddenly looked up over my shoulder, and there was a guy there, probably a bit older than me. He might have been 70 years old maybe, standing there just above my shoulder, and starts to go on about you shouldn't sit over here near the window. And I thought, oh, he's just some crazy guy at first, because he's going on about shouldn't sit near the window. And then I realised what he was saying was that if we sit near the window, when we speak, our voices are reflected back, and that we should sit in the centre of the food court so we don't distract other people, or we don't disturb other people, right? And it took me a while to absorb it. Now, I've had stuff like this over the years happen a number of times, that the old guys here think that they can tell people what they should and shouldn't do, because it's the way Japanese society works. Japanese society works on older people or senior people telling younger or junior people what they should and shouldn't do, right? And it's just a normal thing in Japanese society. In fact, the old guy I was with, who was actually older than this guy, the guy I was with was 80 years old, and he started straight away, he started going, oh, sumimasen, I'm very sorry, excuse us, please excuse me, I'm very sorry. Right, that was his reaction to this guy, and that's the Japanese reaction when you do get told you shouldn't do something. That's the Japanese reaction, is, oh, I'm very sorry, thank you very much for telling me. And I've talked about this on previous videos, because for someone who's not Japanese, you know, that it's amazing what shoots through your head. You know, I just wanted to say to him, hey, you know, F off, because compared to a lot of the other people in the room, we were quieter than most of them, because there was lots of kids, there was really noisy kids, there's all sorts of people, and to tell us that we shouldn't sit there, we should sit somewhere else. And by the way, this guy wasn't sitting anywhere near us. I got no idea where he was sitting, but apparently wherever he was sitting, he could hear us talking, and it was annoying him, which is amazing, because I mean, it was a big food court full of people, and there were lots of noisy people in there, you know. So the point of this video is, it doesn't matter how many times you have this happen. I've had this happen lots of times over the years, where old random guys that I don't know will just suddenly tell me what I should and shouldn't do. And it's really hard, it never gets easier, you know, even though you know it's a cultural thing and for them it's normal. One thing we've got to remember, if we're with another Japanese person, and I've had this happen to me before when I've been with my wife and kids, and for their benefit, we have to just go, oh, sumimasen. This one happened fairly quickly, and the old guy started apologising straight away. The guy I was with started apologising straight away. And by the time I really caught on to what this guy was going on about, he was walking away. So I really didn't sort of say anything, which is sort of for the best, because given a few more minutes, you know, what starts shooting through your head is like, F off. Who are you? Who are you? F off, you know? And it's not the right thing to do. That was the point of this video, because after situations like that, you often go away with it echoing in your head, and a feeling of indignation, you know, like, you got to be kidding, you know? And often I'll go away with the feeling, oh, I wish I'd told him this, or I wish I'd told him that. But the reality is, no, it's good I didn't say anything. And it really is, because for the benefit of the guy I was with, if I'd turned to that guy and say, hey, you know, go away, the guy I was with would have felt really bad. And I've had this happen before when I've been with my wife and kids, and someone, you know, some old guy will be telling me you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't park there, you should park over there, or whatever. And quite often they're just a nobody. They're just an old dude who thinks he can tell everybody what to do, you know. And for the sake of my wife and my kids, it's best if I just say, sumimasen, arigato, thanks for telling me, thank you very much, I'm very sorry, and then just going along with it. Because even my kids, you know, my wife, I know in the past occasionally I've slipped and sort of gone, oh yeah, go away, and my wife feels terrible if I react like that, and my kids do too. I noticed a while ago some situation came up that my wife wasn't there but my kids were, and somebody said something and I sort of went, oh yeah, all right, and I was pretty sort of dismissive, and it made my kids feel bad because they're Japanese, you know, and they've been brought up in this country where, you know, when someone tells you what to do, and you don't sort of, it's interesting because in a lot of our countries we stop and think about the reasonableness of it, or the fairness of it, or the, you know, and in this case it was just ridiculous. It was really unreasonable and pointless, and what the heck are you talking about, you know? And in some countries we'd question that and say, what are you talking about? You know, why don't, you know, if we're that annoying, why don't you go sit over there next to those noisy kids if that'll be better, you know? But that's not the way they think here. Their automatic reaction, and the old guy I was with, 80 years old, and his automatic reaction was, sumimasen, gomenasai, sumimasen, gomenasai. That was his automatic reaction to being told by this younger guy that he should sit somewhere else. You shouldn't sit there, because the sound of you talking reflects off the window. You should sit somewhere else. Right? So the point of this video is just, again, it doesn't matter how many times this happens to you, it's really hard not to just say, hey, F off, mate. But for the benefit of the people you're with, if you're with other Japanese people, for their benefit, it's better off just going, okay, oh, very sorry, okay, for their benefit. Because they'll feel really bad if you react in any other way. And the other thing is, even if you aren't with other Japanese people, even if you're just on your own, other Japanese people watching what's going on or listening to what's going on, or who might hear the story retold later, like a police officer, for example, who might hear the story retold later, they won't get it if you react badly. So if you tell the story later and, hey, we were just sitting there in the food court and this guy came over and said that we should sit somewhere else, and I told him to F off, and then he said something, so I hit him in the head, and if that in the retelling, that they're going to understand the actions of that old guy, and they're not going to understand your reaction to being told. I mean, the reality is, it's our egos, isn't it? Our sense of injustice and the sense of indignity if someone dares to tell us what we should and shouldn't do. And it's all those natural reactions that we have from living in other countries, where if you know, some total stranger comes up and tells us what we should and shouldn't do, you know, we tell them where to go, don't we? And it's still my reaction. It is still my natural response when someone does that. It's still my natural response. I mean, now and again, it depends on the situation. I mean, if we go to like a festival, is a good example. Quite often at festivals, there are numbers of old guys who are volunteers, who are there to help things go well. And there'll be old guys there who'll tell you where to park and don't go this way and don't go that way. And one place we go to for festivals, sometimes when you leave, the law says you can go left or right, but there's always an old guy there with a wand, one of those light wands, saying go that way, because they have their sort of system. And so in situations like that, it's sort of easy to cooperate with them, because you know you understand that it's for the greater good. They've got this plan. But situations like today's situation, they're the hardest, where you just get some random stranger come up and tell you what you should and shouldn't do, you know. And it was totally unreasonable. It was totally ridiculous. It was totally ridiculous, you know. And in any other country, you would have been told to F off. What are you on about? Go away, little man, you know. But it's better just to go, oh, sumimasen. So please excuse me, I'm very sorry, you know. Which is what the old guy did. It straight away, his immediate reaction, as soon as this guy started saying, oh, you shouldn't sit here, you know, you should sit over here in the center, and straight away he's, oh, sumimasen. But I also know I do meet this old guy there sometimes, and a lot of the information I get for our videos comes from that guy, actually. And he likes sitting in that spot over near the window because it's actually away from the more noisy people. Usually the more noisy people are in the center, and if we go over near that window, it's a little bit quieter for him, and it's easy because he's got hearing aids, and hearing aids amplify everything. So if we're near noisy people, it's very hard for him to hear. So I know, even though he said I'm very sorry to that guy, next time we meet, he'll be sitting over near the window where we always sit. So that's the other interesting thing. It's the same as with my wife too. Sometimes in a situation like that, my wife will say, "Oh, sumimasen," and then later we'll continue to do what we're doing anyway, because quite often that random old guy is just talking nonsense, and it's just what they do. It's just what they do. So the name of this video has got to be something like "Being Told by Random Old Guys," because that's what they do. Almost always men. It's just because Japanese society works this way. The guys, the people at the top who make the decisions and tell people what to do are men, and it's sort of ingrained in the culture that men tell everybody what to do and that older men tell everybody what to do. So these guys just feel like they have a right. They have a right. I mean, Little Road, you can see where that bus is. I know you can't see out the front in this video. Quite often in these little streets, when you come across some old guy coming the other way, and they'll just sit and look at you, and you've got a one-lane road, and one of you has to back up, and the old guys, even if you've got a long way to back up, we've made videos about this before, the old guys will just sit and look at you, and totally entitled, So it's really hard. It is hard when you come from a country where everybody's considered to be equal, and that nobody is above anybody else, everybody's considered to be equal. You come live in this culture where everybody has a rank above or below everybody else. Everybody, it's the way the culture works. So it takes some adjusting, and it doesn't matter how long you're here, or how many times that happens, it doesn't get easier. And quite often it's a timing thing too. My timing was sort of lucky today, because by the time I'd caught on what he was going on about, he was walking away. So that was sort of pretty lucky. The problem is, if you're having a bad day and your stress level's already high and you're not having a good time, and then suddenly you get an old guy like that doing that to you, it's very hard to be cool and not just to tell him to rack off, So anyway, that's the heads up. Beware of old guys telling you what to do. The video is going to be called something like that. Let's see. Have a look at the title of the video and see what I finally decided on. It'll be something like that. I'd like to call it "Old Pricks Telling You What to Do," but I can't really do that on YouTube. There's no free speech on YouTube. You can't use words like that on YouTube, apparently. Anyway, that's enough of that. Sorry about the camera, guys. Hopefully I'll get my car back soon and we can go back to our usual, what do they say? Back to our usual programming. More videos coming soon.